Welcome back to the R-Rated Podcast. The R-Rated Podcast. This week's guest is...
Welcome back to the R-Rated Podcast. Today's guests are Victoria and Missy, familiar faces on the podcast.
And we finally met.
I know, right? I literally thought they worked together prior, but they hadn't until recently, and now we're all here together, so I'm super excited. I'm gonna go from 26 to 66 today, or what, like 76? What? How old are we making me today?
I mean, you're done. Let's just say you're not gonna be 26 anymore.
I'm just
We'll
not
see.
gonna
We'll play around with it.
You gotta age.
Yeah, you can tell us how old.
Yeah, let me know how old I look after. But yes, they both do special effects makeup and regular makeup. But today we're gonna make me old. We're gonna transform me completely. We went to a beauty supply store. If you guys want to fill the audience in where we went.
We went to Friends Beauty around Laurel Canyon, around NoHo area in California. That's pretty much where I go a lot of the time to get most of my pro stuff. If you're a pro, you already know that spot. If you're not, now you know about Friends. It's not spelled like regular Friends. They left out the I because...
So LA.
Yeah, so LA. They're different.
It's not like your regular type of
quirky and
friends.
cute. But yeah, so that's where we get some certain things that we're going to have. We bought a specific little prosthetic piece and a couple other things that she bought specifically because we're each tackling different parts of this process and the different ones that are. So yeah, you'll get to see some of it we bought, some of it is already in our kits, and yeah, it's just whatever we feel like at the moment.
That's perfect. Let's tap into it. So we have two of you today. How is this going to go down? How are we going to start the process? Are you guys going to work simultaneously, or is it going to be switching off?
Well, we already kind of talked about it, and we're going to do a little bit of a switching off, a little bit of a simultaneous once we kind of get farther into the process. But basically how we're going to start first is I'm pretty much going to start with the paint and powder process, and she will explain and set up for her the next step of that.
Love it. And
yeah, it's just a cute little fun,
cool.
Kind of like a tutorial, but not.
Let's do it. I'm excited. I have no idea about this process, so
it's a ball.
I'm going in blind. So
that's okay.
Let's do this.
Okay.
Exciting.
So,
yeah, a little sanitize.
Hand sanitizer moment.
Love it. Very, very clean.
Yeah. That's important, right?
Yeah. I'm not wearing any makeup right now, like any foundation. Is that like a normal process, like when you guys are applying these types of prosthetics and stuff?
Yeah, it's pretty normal. It also depends on what it is. Like if it's an old age, like glamour, so it depends.
Yes. A little bun or something.
So, the way I like to start is I like to start getting all my highlights and my shadows done.
Okay.
First, we were talking, and she mentioned she doesn't really do the paint and powder method too often, which is fine and acceptable. But the way we're going about this today is we're doing a little bit of paint and powder on top of wrinkle stipple and other things because I think that paint and powder will help create that depth on top of everything else that she and I also add. So it's a little bit more definition, a little bit more 3D instead of just flat paint and powder. Not that you can't do a really, really good job of paint and powder, but we have an hour. So
I gave him a little time crunch. I'm like, what can we do in an hour? Can you make me old? They said yes. So challenge
with a question mark at the end. We're like, yes.
Well, they said there's two. You said there's two of us. We could do it. So I was like, I believe in you guys, girls.
We can tackle it.
Yeah.
We can.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna start over here. So naturally, we have these lines as people do when we smile. Even when I smile, you see all this right here. She has them. Everybody has them. So I like to make you go ahead and smile. I do like to have my person in the chair smile, so that way I can get those exact lines. Because the more exact they are, the more realistic that it becomes. And I like to bring it up all the way into that nose area.
And you'll see a lot of this in theater, mostly. So it's nice to show the variation because a lot of them, when you're working in film, you might not use this as much. Like Missy said, you still will. But it's a big thing for theater because with the lights and everything, you want to be able to see that dramatic makeup from the back. So it's just kind of cool to see the differences of when you'd use each method or how you can combine them all to create a look. Character makeup is definitely fun for that.
Yeah, that's huge because I know like when you're doing theater, you definitely want those bold, dramatic colors. And I remember when I did a musical, they're like red lipstick, like slap on the foundation, like, and I felt like it looked so cakey, but you know, when
From
you're in the
far
very
away.
back, it actually looked normal. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's also the thing, though, too, is like paint and powder, it also depends on how heavy you're going, how intense we're going in terms of aging. But there's a lot that you could do with this. Like, even right now, I'm just kind of emphasizing, and I'm making a little bit of a crow's feet and a little bit of some darkness under the eye to kind of emphasize what would be wrinkles and deepening a bit, because that's kind of all these things that we have to keep in mind, is like certain features on our faces that no longer stay youthful.
right. Everyone tries to get rid of their crow's nest feet, or was that what it's called?
Yeah, crow's feet.
Crow's nest feet.
Get rid of
I
that.
was like, that
crow's
sounded wrong.
nest.
Everyone's trying to get rid of it, and I'm like, make some on my face.
Hey, that's good,
The
though.
opposite.
That's great. Okay, and so the thing about this too is I'm kind of following a little bit of what I see, but I don't want it to be too perfect, because that just not skin moves. It changes and it moves along how we move. And some people, like when they smile or they laugh, like this eye might wrinkle more than this eye, so they don't necessarily have to be exact. So some of it I'm following, and some of it I'm just adding, so that way it's a little less perfect, I would say. Because even some of the crow's feet.
How many times have you guys made people old? Like, is this like a common like thing to do when you do special effects makeup?
Sometimes, yeah, because sometimes people will ask for even just a slight variation in age, where you might just need to do the stretch and stipple on just the teeniest bit of the crow's feet, and that might be it. And then, you know, maybe aging up with the age spots or the capillaries on the face. That's just the degree of,
Right.
you know, how much you're aging the person that seems to change.
Can you
Right.
kind of raise your forehead a little bit?
Yeah.
I'm trying to see. You don't really have a lot of forehead wrinkles.
Really? I was like, you want
No,
me
you
trying to
don't.
create
I was
some-
like, I'm trying to see what we got here. Okay, can you wrinkle your eyebrows a little bit? Okay, great. You're not going to have the little 11 that I have going. That's my genetic
It's
makeup
okay. I
right
have
there.
eye bags for both of us.
I have a lot of eyebrow or forehead wrinkles.
Yeah, I'm not going to do anything too crazy.
The podcast people have seen me like with no makeup as a clown. Like I had like yellow stained teeth, like gun wounds.
We're going to
like,
give you some not pretty teeth today as well, because you're
Yeah,
older,
that's-
so you're going to
Oh.
be aging.
Yeah, she
Look at
knows
my
the drill with that one.
I know.
So you're ready.
So you're ready
then.
for it.
Yeah. At least it tastes good. Like the last few things she had me try, it was like this like black monster-y like saliva spit
Oh,
thing.
okay, it probably
And
tasted like mint,
Yeah, like
vanilla.
vanilla, like chocolate vanilla-ish type of thing.
That's great.
Same stuff today, different color, and then also we'll do a little bit of this tooth lacquer, which I think I've showed this before.
I
on the
think so, too,
podcast,
when you
where
made them
it's
yellow.
Just the alcohol palette,
Yeah.
but it has nice little gross colors for tooth decay and age, coffee stain, all of that fun stuff.
And I'm going to use a lot of that because she's older, but her teeth can't be as pretty as they are. We're not going to go crazy
Right.
now.
This character
But-
liked coffee.
Yeah, she loved coffee and smoking.
A pack a day.
I'm like, someone call me
Okay.
that. I'm just kidding.
Right, it's just like, come on. Get someone else to do this. So now I'm going to go with a highlight color, so that way we can kind of emphasize a little bit of what's happening here. I'm literally just going to go right on top of that line I already did. And this helps create a highlight, so that way it draws attention to those shadows a little bit more. And this alone, going back to your question about aging, and she said slight aging, that's true. I had
Yeah.
someone who looked slightly too young, just slightly, for the character that they were playing.
Right.
So all I had to do, quite literally, was deepen their smile lines and a little bit of their under
Wow.
eyes. And that's it. You couldn't even tell. That was a strict paint and powder. Maybe it's just me. I've gotten a lot of paint and powder applications because a lot of it isn't even necessary to go super crazy.
How long does it take for like paint and powder versus like, you know, the other process?
Because if you're doing like
Yeah.
a full entire piece, then it doesn't take that long
Right.
Yeah.
to do paint and powder. But if you want something a little more muted, then paint and
Stretch and
powder.
stipple takes the longest, honestly, because
Probably,
It
yeah.
you're
sounds
just
like
waiting
it.
between. Basically, with each layer, you have to let this latex dry up, and then you have to powder it before you go on to your next layer. So that's something you definitely have to wait on. But then, you know, using the other prosthetics or paint and powder, you're not really waiting for something to cure or dry.
Let me get this crow's here.
Have you guys seen Benjamin Button?
Yes.
What do you guys think about the prosthetics in that movie?
Crazy.
I think
Insane,
like
especially at the time.
right. and it's only getting better each year.
Mm-hmm.
But can you guys tell when they're doing like prosthetics with like CGI versus like
Yeah.
real? Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Because it's just the real thing, like with prosthetics, I should say, it just looks a little bit more authentic. And it...
buff these out. So.
Yeah, go for it. So actually, too, I'm using really quick while we get back to that. I'm using a texturized sponge, a regular one that I just created some texture on, so that way it doesn't blend as smooth as it would with like a beauty application, because that's not what we want. We don't want something super perfect. Like, we want this definition to still be here.
Makes
since
it
we're
more organic.
Yeah, and since we're going over with a little bit of a base as well, it's just a light stipple. And when you come to these ones, since they're so close to each other, that's why it's important to just kind of lightly bounce. But anyway, going back to CGI versus...
Yeah, so you can tell when...
Yeah, and sometimes they do a really good job with CGI, but it's just, it never plays. Like, look at Hellboy and Hellraiser and all those things that are a lot more authentic and it look a little bit more and give that shock value, and it's because there's an actual piece on them. You know, sometimes there's a combo, and I think that's fine, but not even just because of my field. Like, even before I worked in this, I always preferred practical over CGI any day.
Yeah. Like, does that worry you guys at all that it could take away business from your department?
It does, yeah. It does, but that's just the reality of things. Like, anything on computers nowadays, they're getting smarter. But no one can, I mean, not to jinx it, but right now, there's not a computer that can fully sit there and apply your makeup from start to finish. So
I'm just like scared because I don't know if you guys know this new filter that just came out on TikTok where it's like the new like beauty, like it like makes you look perfect. And like it's such a good filter that like, you know, before on like with filters, if you like put your hand in front of your face, it would like you could see that it was a filter. So this one doesn't. It's so good that like it legit looks like your face, and it's so terrifying. Like I feel like this is gonna catfish even more people.
You should do this with the old age filter though.
I should.
And see how
we should. Yes. Oh my god.
Affects things.
But I was thinking like now, like what if like that's gonna be the future? They're like, oh, it's just so much easier to just like put some dots on the face and make it look like she's like, you know, has this glamour makeup or has like special effects or like old age or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, would it really be cheaper to do that or like keep, you know, a makeup artist and have her do it by the hour or whatever?
Right, or whatever it is.
Right. Yeah. Do people talk like in your industry? Do they talk about it? Like
not too much. The only thing that is talked about regarding filters is it sets this expectation of us. It's a little unrealistic because even now, before this started, we were looking and I'm like, wow, like I look really smooth. I look great. Like my skin.
This is no filter, by the way.
Right, there's no filter. And like I have pretty decent skin. I don't have very textured skin, but it's definitely way more textured than this. And so that's why I'm just like, wow, like stuff like that is, you know, ring lights on top of filters like that just sets a huge expectation that we literally cannot meet. Like it's just impossible. And no matter how many people are pushing the narrative that like, you know, like, oh, real skin has pores and imperfections. Like, people are still going to strive for perfection.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, even with simple cover-ups, it's something to where we can always cover color and fix the tone. We can cover a pimple. But we can't make the pimple flat.
Yeah, we can't cover texture. And that's something that a lot of people don't understand. And they're like, oh, well, like you know, so Kendall Jenner is a big example about that. But because of that...
But she also has a whole glam squad. I'm like...
Yes, and it's filters, and it's editing.
Right. No, like, I think in one of the episodes of The Kardashians, Kim literally says, like, she goes through all the photos, and she gets them, like, edited for the whole family, and she doesn't post them unless everyone's, like, edited in the photo, so no one's like, oh, I look, like, regular in the photo, and you look like a supermodel, you know what I mean?
Well, you're gonna look like the finest, oldest supermodel
I
there
hope
is.
so.
So, all we've done so far is basic little paints and powders. We might have to go in a little bit heavier in a moment, but already we see a difference in, like, the way this sits. I'm gonna blend this out just a little bit more so they're a little more even in terms of blend out, but we can see that her face looks a little bit more sunken in, her cheeks look a little bit more prominent. These forehead wrinkles, wrinkle your forehead for me a bit, if you can. These ones are showing, go up if you can. Yeah, nice. And it already deepens and defines, which might be hard to see from this angle. This one, though, I don't know. You guys will find out. We're going to take pictures, we'll post those up as well, and add that in there. And I've also darkened her eyes under and a little bit in here to sink a little bit, because it is naturally what happens as some of us tend to age. You did a great job letting us say.
Thank you.
So let's say you guys had never, I mean, I'm sure it's happened. Like, you know, you're at a point where you've never like made an old person old. So when that first time you get asked to do that, like, are you looking up reference photos? Are you like, like, how do you know, like, how to make someone old? Like, how do you know, like, oh, the wrinkles like start here and then like the wrinkle is here? Like, I mean, I don't think everyone knows that.
We had the advantage of going to school.
Right.
So that did help, but they did say that is something that, like, if you don't know something, like, for one, be honest about it.
Right.
But two, reference photos are everything. And, like, you know, there's really no specific place that a wrinkle should go or has to go.
Okay.
Because, like, your wrinkle, like I said, like, you don't really have these ones right here.
Right.
Mine are heavy. You can tell when I'm annoyed. You can see them.
You
can't. I have a very prominent wrinkle in between my brow, but you don't have that. So if I were to emphasize that even now, mine would be so much heavier than
mine.
yours.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
I think another fun thing to think about when getting asked to do old makeup or old age makeup for film is going based off of the character and their life. If you can get in the director's head and, you know, did they have a happy life? Did they have a sad life, an angry, hard life? That'll change the direction of all of your wrinkles and where which ones are prominent. If you squint a lot, you might have that one a little more. If you raise and are very expressive, like me, I have these ones a lot more. And if you smile a lot, you'll have the nasal labial folds a lot more. Your wrinkles on your crow's feet will be different directions if you're happy or sad. So that's like
See, this is why I'm
an easier way to pick up. And there are actually a bunch of articles on that, and there are reference photos for that too. So that's another thing with your research. You can get even more into it, which is something other people won't notice.
I am going to let her do her stippling with the wrinkle stipple. We had a spill.
Got a little spill.
It happens. I'll clean
we have
that
paper
up.
towels.
Oh yeah,
I got that. You go ahead and get started. And while she's stippling, I'm going to do another detail that people don't tend to notice, but it matters to me. I'm gonna go around your lips, speaking of which, because we mentioned that you like to smoke.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, this will
it's
be a
out
smoker.
there. Yeah. Well, to clarify, I smoke weed. I do not smoke cigarettes. Cigarettes is bad for you. Do not smoke cigarettes. Do not vape. It's bad for you as well.
Wow, let's turn into a Derek commercial.
I know, right? Oh my God, I'm
resist
becoming my age.
drugs
I'm trying to method act. I'm going to become 76, so smoking's bad. But back in my day when I was younger, I
what we did.
dabbled in some weed.
Dabbled in the marijuana.
60s.
Yeah.
A little bit in a cup, not the floor. And you just take, similar to the sponges before, you rip off a little section of sponge so you can get that textured piece, make it look organic instead of having a stipple that has a little square mark in it. And then basically, I'll have you pull your eyes, or with your hands, just hold your eye really taut.
Okay.
And then we'll get a little powder. And I usually do 2 or 3 layers. You don't really want to do too many layers with this because it will start to look bunchy and pilly almost. Those little like... How do you explain pilling?
Pilling,
like little balls of
like
lint on
linty.
your clothes and on your couch and stuff. That's kind of pilling, I guess. Yeah, I feel
No,
like
no,
last time your crow's feet did wrinkle well. But I
like to
I
wrinkle.
don't, if we did anywhere else, I don't remember you wrinkling there.
I remember we did a bruise on my forehead, and then we did a gunshot on my chest, and then we did like a black eye-ish kind of. What is like some makeup terms that maybe some people wouldn't know that you'd be like, oh, like what you just said right now, like what was it? Pilling?
Pilling.
Pilling? Pilling?
Stippling.
Stippling. What's stippling?
How would you explain stippling?
I would say it's just to describe the motion, the way you're applying the product.
Yeah, so it's also
like a
typically
bouncing motion is kind of stippling.
and kind of
And
exactly
with the brush.
how
Are you guys using that method right now?
a little bit, yeah.
A
So
little,
it's
yeah.
stuff like
Like that.
this is a little stipple sponge.
And
so
smile.
it's amazing.
You turn so Missy can see as well.
I love it. Yeah, so with stippling, you know, it helps with, it is a method, and it also is like a certain type of sponge because it gives you a stippled look instead of very smooth, and it's more textured a little bit. So
Learn
it's
something
a
new every day.
stipple
I
sponge.
like that term. Okay.
Yeah, it's cute.
It is cute.
Another one I get a lot, which is not relevant right now, but spoolie. A lot of people don't know what a spoolie is.
Yeah, what is that?
Mascara wand.
Oh.
Close. And keep it closed, and try not to make too many facial expressions with your eyes, just so they don't get glued before
In the
I
position.
That's fair.
powder it. That's another thing with this method is if you're doing it on an actor that gets distracted or has to like talk about things with the script or go over lines, it probably shouldn't happen during stretch and stipple. So just make sure you communicate before your shoot so everyone knows that, and it's not, no surprises. They need to get things done too, and just be aware of that, because any little movement, if you wrinkle your eyebrows before it's powdered, it'll basically, the latex will stick to itself. And you'll have to start from scratch because you can't really patch and mend that well.
No. Emphasizing a little bit as I go while I have the time to do that.
So how common is it to have an assistant when you are working on the set?
It really,
on the budget.
Yeah, it depends on the budget,
fair.
and it depends on like the project itself, how many people are in within the day, and just because you have an assistant doesn't mean you're going to have it the whole time.
This is toasty.
Feels nice.
It's
kind of
I'm going to come in and stipple the other side, if
Absolutely.
that's okay.
Absolutely.
And I'm also going to come in, I am going to stipple your smile lines quite a bit, if that's
So
what
is
you
there
want.
like an automatic, like if you're someone's assistant, like if you get brought onto the job and you guys don't know each other, like is there, like this is my role, or do you guys communicate that like prior or on set?
In my opinion, I think any good department head, I'm going to spread this one for you, so give your hands a break. Any good department head should make sure to communicate with you beforehand and kind of set the tone and about things and what's going to go on. I have assisted somebody that I did not get to meet beforehand, but we had a phone conversation. It went well, and she was lovely, and I assisted her again after that. I mean, it pretty much is, like, you should know the ins and outs of being an assistant, but everyone is different because a lot of people require different things. Like, when anyone assists me, thank you. When anyone assists me, I'm not super, like, I'm in charge, I'm the head of the department.
Right.
I haven't worked with anybody like that either. The lady I assisted was wonderful.
That's amazing, because I feel like, I'm sure, I mean, you have to experience, like, the good and the bad, right? Like, just to know, like, who you work well with and who you don't. Yeah, because I felt like that could maybe get awkward on set.
Yeah, and there are moments where I find that
feel that.
you might be
feel it,
excited for certain things, but
Right.
you also have to remember when you're assisting, you're not in charge of some of the bigger things. Like,
Right. Yeah, like what would you be in charge of? Like,
it depends on the project.
okay, so
It
let's
really
say, let's pretend
depends.
it's this. Let's like this is the project where we're doing a short film. The budget's like $15,000, and it's a 3-day shoot. Like, what do you think, like, the responsibilities would be?
Honestly, it would probably be exactly kind of what we're doing right now. Is a little bit of back and forth, and let's just say, for example, with that, because it's only 3 days, so there is probably more than one person, I'm assuming, on deck. I'm going to come under as well. And with that, you kind of have to think about, like I said, it kind of varies. Because if there's multiple people, it might be, hey, I need you, like if she's a department head, she might be like, hey, I need you to get started and help me start with this old age makeup and get me halfway there.
Right.
But then so-and-so is coming in half an hour in. And I need you to switch over so we can get that makeup done.
Right, okay. So it's, you could be bouncing between more than one actor.
Yeah,
Like,
and
it's
I've
not
done that
like-
plenty of
yeah.
times while assisting. Plenty of times while assisting, where you just kind of help them get started.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends though, because like I assisted her, and
Yeah.
it was really just for us. It was more of a collaborative effort, kind of like what we're doing right now.
Right.
Actually, pretty
yeah,
much
you guys
exactly.
work really nice together.
This is pretty much exactly how we did it. Is it was quite literally just, hey, thank you. I need you to.
And how would you guys
decide.
handle it if, like, for example, you did get paired up with someone and, like, maybe he or she wasn't understanding, like, their duties, or kind of, like, maybe stepping on your guys' toes and not, like, understanding, like, okay, like, I need you to do your part and I do my part.
It's
or
all
whatever.
about communication,
Right.
you know, and being the department head too, you do kind of have to set that tone. And I don't like to take it as I'm in charge, like, so what I say goes no matter what. But you do also have to recognize, like, please don't overstep. Like, there's certain things that I have to handle. And, like, when anyone assists me, I'm very big on, like, if anybody gives you a hard time, like, just report to me and I will handle it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to get in the middle of that, mostly because, you know, it's my job to protect you. And I'm going to do that.
I love
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I think the only other thing I'd add is making sure you're communicating in the correct place, too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, you know, things happen and it can get heated and you might want to talk about it then and there, but that might not be
There's
the
a time and a
appropriate place
place.
or time. Maybe it's something that you might want to ask them to get there early or stay a little later and have a conversation in private if needed or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, really just communication. I agree with that completely. I think it's more like trying to prevent it rather than
Right.
Yeah, because even if you don't clash, like, they're still assisting you, and you have to make it work for that period of time, even if, like, you do end up finding someone halfway through. There we go.
Like, how can you apply it? Like, if you wanted to, like, if you're starting out and you wanted to be someone's assistant, or, like, maybe more, like
do a little
is because
close-up
are
video.
all assistant jobs paid, or are they?
Not all of them.
Okay, because I was gonna say maybe it could be like, you know, you're trying to start out, you're trying to build your portfolio. Like, where would you go to look to see like these jobs and these gigs? Like, how can they find you to assist you guys? You know,
A lot of it's networking.
you have to leave the house,
You
guys.
have to leave the house, or you gotta
Yeah.
get online and talk to strangers,
gotta
which is
get on-
exactly the opposite that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Well, the first person I ever assisted, she was my Lyft driver.
Huh? Love it. You never know.
You never know. Yeah, because I walked in with my huge suitcase, and
She's
it took
like,
me
"Where
a
you
minute to
going?"
get in. And I was like, I'm sorry. And I was like, sorry about all my stuff. And she's like, you're a makeup artist, huh? And I'm like, how'd you know? And she's like, oh, me too. And
Oh, that's
turns out
cool.
we went to the same school.
Oh my
and she's
God.
like, well, when you graduate here, call me.
Right.
So I was like, okay.
Oh, that's
and I called
that's
her.
amazing.
And
you never
I
know.
and I assisted
in LA.
her last year as well in
And
January.
how was that? Did you guys work
Yeah.
well together?
Yeah, she was great. I loved her. I was mostly the third hand on deck, but it was a great opportunity. I worked with someone else really amazing on that shoot, so it was wonderful. Yeah, cheeks for sure. I also, if you could see, I added a little bit of this right here as well. And then even then too, we can see, I don't know if you guys can see in the close-up, but in person, that shadow alone on top of the wrinkles that we just created give a much more in-depth look to that. She has such nice, healthy skin.
It just did appeal.
She did just do a peel, and now we're going
I know. I highly recommend the Chemical VI Peel. If you want to shed like a snake and have brand new skin, that is the way to go. I was like low-key in denial, but I was like, there's no way it can be that good. It's honestly that good. I've always had dry skin, and for once in my life, I felt like my skin was like shining and glowing, and I was like, wow, this shit does work. I feel like kind of pampered. I never have two people working on my face.
Really? She's like, I feel pampered as they're putting glue on her face. A little bit. We're using really light layers too. So for certain areas like the eyes and stuff, it is good to use that little extra gust of air because they wrinkle so much. But areas like cheeks, when a person is younger, as she is, it's okay to just kind of fan it out and let it air dry because it's just not that necessary. If we were doing heavy layers, then
What's considered heavy layers? Like 3 to 6 or like?
me personally, anything more than 2 because anything
Yes.
over 2 starts to get intense.
yes.
Okay.
Because this is you'll see it. This is just one layer, and like your eyes alone are already much more wrinkled. And I'm gonna add a little
And
bit more.
don't put it
how you
on
did.
thick. I guess I can show that. This stuff, you'll see it starts to dry and peel up. That's what I mean by pilling also, if you can see.
And if you guys were to
Definitely
make
can't
the
see.
mistake,
There
not
we
saying
go,
that you
those
would,
little
but
balls, that's
If
pilling.
you were to make a mistake, would it be an easy fix
For stretch and stipple?
for just like what's happening right now?
For stretch and stipple, I would say no, depending on, you know, if your
No,
eye...
don't fuck
Like I was
up.
saying, if that... Because the eye will get glued open. Like you'll...
Oh my god.
So, and then
Yeah,
you'll have
you
to
won't get
remove
to-
it all. And if you did some on the whole face, you'll have a patchy little line like... You can't really see it.
Maybe tap the
Like
screen.
that. It'll peel up like that. You can't really patch it in. And you can't remelt down latex. Once it's set, it's on there. So...
There's so many little
So it
things,
can be,
like-
yeah, it's hard to fix. The other two, I would say it's easier to fix a bad prosthetic edge than it is to fix a
Really?
messed up stretch and stipple. But yeah, basically when you apply it, you just want to do the thinnest layer. You can barely even see that I stippled anything on there, so that it dries quickly and then it wrinkles well. You don't want to add too much and kick it up. That's what will make that pilling, and it makes it look kind of fake, honestly. I don't really like the way it looks when you do. You've seen people do like a thicker layer of the latex. Yeah,
And you could tell each time.
yeah.
I'm adding a little bit above her lips as well because since I added that definition to make those lines, I think it would make sense to give her slight wrinkles there as well.
That sounds great to me.
She's getting a bunch of powder and stuff all over her. Okay, let's see. I'm going to stretch the other side of your lip. I'm going to hold this. Can I? Yeah. Yeah, let's try.
Let me just powder it quick.
That looks great.
with. And then I have the sealer to get rid of the powderiness. Well, let me dust that off with a
Little fan brush moment.
Cute.
Yeah, you're wrinkling pretty well. I think it's fun to do the eyes first. I don't know if you usually do the eyes first too, but I usually do the eyes first because then while you're talking with the person and working on the other parts of the face and pulling it, it gives the eyes time to wrinkle more.
Oh.
The more
Yeah.
you move, the more it'll start to wrinkle up. Like this looks a lot more wrinkly than when I first finished applying it on that eye.
That's good to know. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I was gonna ask that. Like, does it matter where you start, or can you just like go for it?
I mean,
you can start wherever.
But the eyes seems like a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just
Well, and
ends up
I
working
started-
nicely.
I started on the eye. I'm gonna start on the eye now to kind of show the difference in how that process goes as well. Because that's a good example on how this stuff really does work.
Let me get
So I'm
a
gonna pull
cup
up
for
like
the
she did close for
sealer.
me.
And we have a little sealer as well that will sponge over, stipple over afterwards. And this just takes down the powdery look, makes the skin look translucent again where we wrinkled it. Which is nice.
And while I'm here, before I forget, pull on this forehead a bit.
Yeah, you want me to hold?
Yeah, could you? I just want some slight stuff up here. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna brush away
Perfect.
that. Okay, and now we can see a difference.
Try and
Side
do
by
some
side.
facial expressions. too
Okay,
now.
should I look angry?
Try and like
Yeah.
lift your
You're still-
brows.
There we go.
You know,
Her,
Maybe you
her
need
forehead
to,
doesn't
like-
wrinkle a lot.
make more faces in your.
Scare me.
Right? Yeah. You need to look more. Oh, there we go.
I'm angry.
You just don't age.
She
So.
doesn't. But since she doesn't wrinkle at all on the forehead, I wanted to give that texture here. Union isn't exactly everybody's goal. If you're in
Right.
film and TV, it's a more common goal. It's my goal.
It's your
If I'm
goal.
being honest, yeah,
Okay,
I want to be in local 706 one day. I want
Do you want to
be
be in local 76?
706.
Oh, 706.
I think yeah. Once I give my hours in, I'll
Mhm.
definitely.
How many hours
it,
do you need?
But
Too many.
Yeah.
Too many. It's a lot. It's a big process.
right now, I don't know if I'm going to worry about it this year.
Yeah,
but
well, that's kind of
yes,
where
down the
I'm at. I
road,
want
I
it
would
one
like
day,
to.
but that's
Yeah.
in like my 5-year plan.
Went to different schools, so we have a little different knowledge under
Yeah.
our belts,
What were
which
the
makes it
schools?
really fun to talk about different products and also learn different methods. It's like
Yeah,
dip
when
in
I
some-
assisted her, she taught me things and I taught her things. So it's the fun thing.
That is super fun.
I went to Mud.
Mud?
Makeup designery, and she went
Okay.
to cinema.
Oh, okay. And they're both in LA, right?
Yes.
And is it semester, like per semester or like quarter? Like how does that work? And-
Mine was only 6 months, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4 though. So it's like
Oh.
2 years of knowledge
Nice.
crammed into
Okay.
6 months.
Yeah. Okay. And what about yours? How long was yours?
about 7 to 9, I believe. It went based off of what we were learning. So beauty class was 1 or 2 weeks. SFX was 2 or 3
Ooh,
weeks.
fun.
And then it would move on to the next thing. So each class was super focused on like what application you're doing, which I liked that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
I-
think they dragged it out too much.
Yeah, I took a master course, so I did everything from straight up beauty to business to lab.
Mhm.
I started with beauty 101, and then you move to business, and then you move to hair class.
Oh,
Or
you
that-
do
or that
hair
might be
too?
split.
Oh.
Yeah, we had about 3 weeks of
Okay.
hairstyling.
Nice.
Don't ask me to hairstyle, please. I'm a
Yeah,
makeup
we're not
artist.
saying we offer it.
Yeah.
I can.
We can do, but we don't want
Touch-ups.
to.
Well, see, the
Touch-ups
reason
preferred.
the reasons that I try to avoid that though is because when you get credited as both hair and makeup, that
Mhm.
affects your union and how you can get in eventually, like your credits and stuff like
Why
that.
does a makeup union not like if you do both?
No, they don't. It's not that, but it's just you kind of have to. I forget exactly what it was. They explained it to us in the business class, but essentially you do kind of have to choose one or the other. And if you're credited as both hair and makeup, then it's hard for it to count as strictly your makeup union
Right,
hours.
right.
Yeah.
So even if I do hair, which I do. I get a lot of jobs where I do have to kind of do some basic hairstyling and little things like that. I still ask them to just credit me as makeup, especially because that's my main choice.
Right. No, I get it.
Is I prefer the makeup over the hairstyling. It's an art, and I appreciate it. I'm just not good at it.
Same.
It's not my strong suit. I'm not going to say I'm not good at it. I'm
Right.
actually a lot better at it than I thought I ever could be.
And like the more you do it, it's just gonna get better.
I'm a lot better at it than I thought I ever could be. But it's my bread and butter is makeup applications, and that's where I think it thrives for me personally. Right. But when hair for only 3 weeks, I mean, that was decent. Special effects was good. The lab was amazing. That was a 6-week course. Special effects was a 6-week course. Wow. Beauty 101 was a 6-week course. I think we had a decent amount of time. There are a couple things here and there I would have liked to know a little bit more about. Yeah. But also, I think they did pretty good.
On set, you have to be quick because, I mean, time is money for everyone.
Money.
Production. That AD is going to come around and
every 15 minutes.
Can you do it in 5? And if you can't do it in 5,
someone has experience with this.
Find someone that can.
I love my ADs. I'm usually really tight with them though for that reason because I talk to them the most.
Communication. Communication.
Okay, next. We got a Tinsley transfer, baby.
Looks very rated R.
Yeah, just very rated R.
It's for the chin. No, the neck, right? The neck. Sorry, not anywhere else.
So this is a neck
a little
wall.
Suspicious.
Essentially, bye. Okay, so essentially this is a Tinsley transfer. These are some of the automatic transfers that you could just put on, kind of exactly like a temporary tattoo, not even kind of. You apply it exactly like you would a temporary tattoo. You only have an hour to make her look old.
Oh my god, I want a rooster neck.
If you were feeling. So this is what we got. And so essentially this tiny little bad boy is $30, but with a pro discount, it's about $26. For pro makeup artists out there, you can get a pro discount at Friends and all the other stores like that. I prepped it beforehand to save time and so I could explain. But it comes with this little back piece right here, this little white part, as it would on a temporary tattoo. This little part, if you could see, this little plastic pull-up, it's separate, and you take that, you lay it flat, you smooth it over. I cut it out, and I like to draw, if you can see it, the outline of it so I can see exactly where it's going to lay on the skin. And essentially that's pretty much it, because with your temporary tattoo, if you remember when you were like 5, you got the My Little Pony ones, you'd be like, okay, where is it, let's make sure it's right there. But we should have been doing this all along. Essentially, once you're ready, you peel it off. At first I'm going to clean the area of your neck. I'm going to clean your neck up, just so that way you want to make sure you have a nice smooth base there. And this is slightly off color, of course, but I'm going to have her fix that up for me. You're going to peel this off.
It's like squishy looking.
Yeah, it is, because it's meant to kind of mimic
skin.
Skin, kind of almost like silicone type bead. It is sticky, and sometimes these little edges will peel up when you're peeling it, but that can be fixed. So what I'm going to do, actually, if you don't mind helping me, I'm going to give you this. You do that for
H2O.
You do that. Yeah, a little H2O and a little bit of that. And I'm going to place this. I think I'm going to go... See, you have a decent size neck. I have a short neck, so I'm not going to do anything like this. Okay, so it's going to feel sticky and awkward.
And these are nice because they're made with prosthetic, which is a glue, and it's a thickened glue that creates this prosthetic, so it adheres really nicely to the skin and stays put easily as well.
Okay, so because we're on a curved area, it's a little hard to get it flat, so there will be some maneuvering we have to do, but it'll also be easier once we get this wet. Hence why I needed the help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. Okay.
Teamwork.
Teamwork.
Can you tell these two hang out
I know,
more
right?
than we do? More than me and her do. Actually, no, her and I are very similar.
And you guys, working together, that brings you close in a whole other way.
No, they wouldn't be able to tell at all. I mean, right away, people were asking us, how long have you guys known each other? You get along so well.
I love
we met today.
5 minutes ago.
Yeah, we knew each other for 10 minutes. Other than a temporary tattoo, this one requires a little bit more pressure. A tiny bit. Obviously, you have to be careful because we're literally on her throat.
Kills me. No, just kidding.
That's very
Laughs it
R-rated.
off.
That's
Yeah.
very R-rated.
Like, ha, ha, ha. Yeah, or I'm like, haha, you guys are by my jugular.
And that's another communication. Just
Right.
communicate with your, I almost said teammate, with your talent.
Yeah.
And make sure they're feeling comfortable. Check in a few times just
Mhm.
because, if it's a weird area like this, maybe initially they were comfortable and then your finger shifted and now you're in
And
the
now they're
jugular.
not.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so talent, don't be afraid to speak up if we're making you uncomfortable. Our feelings won't get hurt. We'd rather you be comfortable.
It's like the hairstylist thing. People
Oh,
joke
yeah.
when you get your hair done, you hate it, you tell them that you love it, and then you go home and cry. It's
Oh,
universal.
God.
It's like anxiety when you're sitting in the chair.
Mhm. When you ask for a trim and they cut
Like, you
half
took
your
your
hair
hair
off.
off.
Yeah. Reasons why my hair's as long as it is.
I know, it
They
looks
messed it
great.
up. Thank you. They messed it up, so I said I'm not cutting
This
it.
side is free.
Great.
I think she's golden.
Lovely. This side needs a
Let me
little
get
bit more in the
some
bottom.
right here.
So again, just like a temporary tattoo, slowly pull. The only difference is you could fill in your temporary tattoo with a little bit of marker and stuff, but if you rip off a chunk of this, your whole piece could essentially mess up. It's great. Keep your chin up for me a little bit because there's some edges here that we are going to fix up a little bit. You could take a little bit of water and a Q-tip, or I like to use a brush personally. It's just a preference.
How often do you have to restock your kit?
Honestly, it depends on how often I'm working.
Okay.
I'm always revamping stuff like brush cleaner and 90% alcohol because that, of course, is a sanitary thing
Right.
that we have to keep in mind constantly. But, like, it's the beginning of the year. I haven't really been working as often.
Yeah.
And so with that, I tend to, not have to restock this much during the year. But I booked a job for like 15 days coming up. So that's going to be a pretty big kit restock here in a moment.
Right. That's gonna be awesome though. 15 days.
Yeah, we just talked about not having too much
Right.
time off, but that's freelance life.
If there's a month that you don't get booked, like how do you make rent in
Um,
your freelancing?
I'm really good at saving.
There
you
you
have
go. Yeah.
You have to be. You have to have a budget, and you have to make sure you stick to that budget, and you have to be cautious and remember. And you learn the ebb and flow of things. You learn the ebb and flow of how things go with that.
Basically, you'll go through it once where you don't plan correctly and
You're
you're
like-
broke for like a month
You're eating
in
air?
between shoots. And then after that, you'll start doing it the way we did.
Right.
I'm on year 2 of full-time freelance. So I remember last year around this time, because I went full-time before the slowdown, I was able to learn actively while having a lot of work, and then a complete slowdown.
Right.
But that helped because then I didn't have like a day job to distract me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with silicone prosthetics, I always use a flat brush. But with these guys, I just squish down the transfer. Especially if it's something like this where her neck is wrinkled. So like this little blip right here will work with the prosthetic.
And that's essentially, I'm doing exactly what she does, is I'm using a flat-headed brush to make sure that I can blend it on an edge, essentially. And some of this might be a little bit lifted and a little bit more, and that's okay, because, it's an old neck,
That's the thing. Yeah, if it works with the prosthetic, and another thing, it's time. So if you don't have the time, and there's a way that you can make that work and fit in for you, then you should do it instead of psyching yourself out and getting worried and worked up. And how do I fix this one little wrinkle? Well, if there's wrinkles on the prosthetic, just see it. If you can blend that and make it fit with the prosthetic, go for it.
I like that. Go for it. Don't be scared.
There's a lot of times
Things
where you have
happen.
to make stuff up on the fly like that.
You just saw my entire bottle of this explode, so it happens.
Is that the one you just
We
bought
just
too?
bought that bottle.
No!
Yeah.
It's literally like $5. I think.
If I were to use just this side
Right.
and apply and go like this,
Right.
it's going to smooth everything
Right.
out. Versus this, it's going to create
And
that
it can
texture.
a little bit of. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that way it's not as perfect and pretty.
Okay.
So this edge gave us a little bit of a struggle when we lifted it up, but I think we're able to make that work as is. Because since we added a piece to your neck, I am also going to add a little bit of paint and powder to your neck to emphasize some lines. She's doing her thing.
Yeah, that's a good
No.
color.
She went in for it.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do. Just go for it.
And I'm letting some of this go everywhere just to blend in with the old age spots that we'll do. Well, when I was younger, I watched a lot of scary movies.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Favorite scary movie? What is it?
I don't even have one. I feel like when you watch them all, they all mix together. Like sometimes I'll be trying to think of a movie,
You're like, which
and when I
one was
finally
that
figure
one?
it out, I was thinking of 2 different movies that were just
Combining.
similar. Yes.
You're
That
like The
happens to me all the
Exorcist and
time.
Insidious.
So this one's straight up glue. The entire prosthetic is made from a thickened glue. So it's same with this stretch and stipple, where if they open their eyes and you're putting on their eye or they're wrinkling, it's going to stick to itself. So just powder as you go. Sometimes the alcohol paint will re-wet the prosthetic and then it will have the chance to stick again. So just...
You won't always have to do this method, though, because we're doing this so it'll match her skin tone a little bit better. Because this one was slightly too light, but if you had talent that was that skin tone, you don't really need to worry about doing what she's doing. So we'll have her do that.
Perfect.
We have a little heater on the floor. We don't want to knock it over. That's great. That looks amazing.
It's pretty good color, man.
Yeah, you did great.
And that we just used these alcohol
Turn
paints.
this way for me.
This is the dark flesh tone palette. And I believe, is this what? Just regular flesh?
Regular
original. Or the original.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm also going to add a tiny bit more wrinkle stipple around the rest of her neck. So that way it's not as smooth and pretty compared to the rest of her. It's little things like that too that we didn't originally plan for that, but we don't think about things like that until
It happens, right?
until we're here, yeah. And it's just a light layer because this is going to do most of the work. But it'd be weird for you to have this huge waddle and then this tiny.
Do you use Skin Illustrator, or have you tried any of the other brands of alcohol palettes?
I have an EVA alcohol palette
Nice.
and I really like it. But yeah, my main ones are Skin Illustrator. I'm not going to pretend that it's not.
What is Skin Illustrator?
It's a brand.
Okay.
It's a specific brand. It's very popular,
Okay.
especially with their alcohol paints.
Oh, it's that one that.
Or maybe their FX one is the OG.
I buy the ones that are specifically
You have
that
the
went.
FX one?
I want the ones specifically from my school. I keep
What palette do you have?
repurchasing the ones
Our
from my
school
school.
has that too.
Yeah.
I
So
didn't
see?
buy it off of this.
Well, they
I don't
came-
have it.
They came in my kit, and I keep getting them on a discount because honestly, I want other ones, but these ones have been.
Yeah, palette one.
Yeah,
okay,
palette
so
one,
this
palette
one is
two.
the
Palette
OG.
like that? Like,
This one I think is around. I think the little ones are 50, and the bigger
big
ones are 70.
yeah.
is that a good price?
Yes.
Yeah, they
These
are.
last forever,
They do.
honestly, because
Okay.
you use thin washes of the color, and that just, you don't use too much product, honestly. Yeah, it's nice. It's very nice. But yeah, basically, they're great for coloring and tinting prosthetics. I'll show you the 2 flesh tone palettes.
Okay, I just want to see.
Wipe this up a
My
little
neck.
first.
My back.
So this
We're gonna
is
stop
the
there.
Yeah.
first flesh
I
tone
mean, this is rated
palette,
R.
which has a decent variety of shades and then adjusters. And then this is their second one, which goes more, it has a higher shade range, that's for sure, but it goes from light to dark with one adjuster at the end there. So those are both really nice for color correcting within prosthetics, because a lot of these transfers come in this one translucent lighter flesh tone, and you'll have to tint it just to match. Sometimes it'll be translucent clear and not flesh tone tinted at all. So just working with that, but they're nice to use versus the cream products because they have more translucency. It looks
Ooh,
more
that
like
feels
skin
good.
than caking on a foundation.
It feels like I have a peel on my neck. Like,
Okay, good.
And it, like,
That's what we
tightens.
like to hear.
cool.
Okay, no, good. So that's also the thing too, is that's something to communicate with your talent as well, because if they don't feel any tightening, you're not going to get the effect you want. I also feel like within an hour,
I can do a sealer
we've
too
done a
on
decent
there.
amount.
Yeah.
Roll your neck around for me.
Wait, yeah, we
there
have
we go.
good time.
Roll your neck around.
Look at it.
Do some
No.
rolls. Do some rolls.
This is the fun part about doing makeup in a setting like this, though. It's usually never this fun. Even when you have fun with your
thank you.
talent, this is like the bee's knees, you know?
Yeah, usually on set, it's a little bit more. I mean, it's not that it's like, oh, quiet, no talking, you can have fun, but it's more serious.
Yeah, well, you're
And
working.
a time crunch too.
This side. No, this looks great. Adding that tiny little bit.
I want to get a close-up video.
Yeah, go for it.
Smile.
Teeth and take your hair out for me.
Okay. Let's do it.
I
So
might do some old age spots on her face. Like,
do that.
like
do
a
some of
thick
the
stipple.
do
like
some of the
yeah.
detailing too, because this is also the stuff where she might not look super old right now, but a lot of these little
is where
things
we're at
help
right
take
now.
it to the next level.
Here's your neck.
My neck. My neck. There we are. There's my neck. So I just fleck on there and then take a sponge before it dries and I just go over some of it and kind of let it melt into the face.
And while she's adding those, I'm gonna go in and add a little bit of
on your
veining.
nose. That's great. This is from your years of sun exposure while you're sitting outside in the stoop smoking your cigarettes.
Mhm. That'll happen.
She took a cigarette break probably about 4 times a day.
She initially took up smoking, yeah, so she could take more breaks at work. She's make an entire backstory. She needs her breaks. I'm gonna do a tiny bit of the wrinkle stipple on your lips, just to. I don't know. I feel like they're looking a little
they're
too.
looking a little too youthful, right?
Yeah, your lips are looking too nice. So just try not to make too many expressions for a moment, because again, your lips may glue together. And if you could
And she's
open your
also-
mouth
she's the
ever
host.
so slightly.
Just a tiny bit.
Just a tiny bit.
There we go.
Yeah. And then keep it. Yeah, just so they don't glue down. So sometimes with the lips too, it's nice to do a little chapped lip effect, which I may have shown that on here too before. But I'll add it a little thicker in like 2 spots on the lip and then peel that up. And it creates a nice little effect.
And this is honestly my favorite part about aging is all these little details that come into play when you're doing that, because things like age spots and things like, you know, veining and stippling extra little parts like the lips, that just really helps tie everything together. Like even these little veins.
Again, I think we're used to working quick.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. So basically, once this dries,
Mhm.
it's really fun because you can just take a sponge that has a little bit of the dried up latex and use that to pick up where you already put down the stuff. This is still wet, but you can try and kind of grab at it
Nice
and
little
it'll
chop
pick up
already.
and make them look chapped. I think I'm gonna do one more layer just on the parts where I want it to be chapped. Which I'll just do like here.
Be careful right here because I am coming in around the eye very lightly with this alcohol, but mostly just because I see a lot of veins on people's eyes, I've noticed, as they age. And once again, when it comes to veining and certain things like that, don't make it too perfect because they are not perfect. They move and they flow as they will. Everybody's are different. There's not exactly a perfect way that you can get it. It is kind of what you feel would be on the character. You can see it when they go, uh-oh, there it goes.
There it is.
There it is.
Yeah, so you just press it so it sticks. So this is like the big fear, but you're doing it intentionally.
Yeah, sometimes it comes in handy.
So just a little of that and that.
Beautiful. And what I'm doing too, where I'm spraying and tapping, is I'm just putting a little bit of alcohol on my finger so that way I could dissipate anything that I don't like.
Do you feel it
That feels a
sticking
little
on your
heavy.
lips anymore at all?
No, it's good.
Perfect. That's what we love. Perfect. And then I'm also going to seal them just so they're not.
Another thing you have to keep in mind too is there's certain things that you have to remember and you have to notice. Like I always say that some people have veins on their eyes. Some people's are slightly more purple than others. So that's also stuff. It depends. And right
Does
now,
it matter on your skin color or like?
not honestly, not necessarily. Not from what I've seen. I will say people with fair skin tones, I've seen more so the heavier blue than anything. But I'm coming in with a little bit of both. And it's really hard to get them super perfect and tiny because, you know, that's a lot of heavy, heavy detail. And I mixed a little bit of down brown and yuck yellow, and it kind of got the sludgy, ugly look.
Do
You
a
don't
little of the tooth
you don't
color
have
first
to use
and
it.
then do that on top. No, I'm definitely. Oh,
She's like, "Oh, we're using it, girl." And something else I'm also going to do is people when they age, they tend to get a little bit of a redness around their nose. So I'm going to stipple on a little bit of redness around here, if that's okay with you. These tiny little details really just vamp everything up. It really changes the
Will
game.
you still love me when I'm no longer young and beautiful? That's my intro.
Pretty much. That's how I was going to go, hey guys, welcome back to Our Podcast.
Yeah, right.
Little details like this are where you spend the most of your time. But that's also partially why we kind of buzz through some of the other stuff. Because this stuff is probably some of the most important.
The veins look very nice.
Thank you. I was just looking at your splotching. That's
Thank
fucking
you,
fantastic.
thank
I can
you.
say that on here. It's fucking fantastic.
Yeah. You can
Oh
say
my
that
goodness, I always forget. It's
Mhm.
rated R.
Mhm.
It's rated
For real.
R.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, people be like, shit, and they're like,
I'm
oh my god, I'm
so
so sorry,
scared.
I'm like, no, you can say
Not
whatever you
me.
fucking
Once you
want.
say it's rated R, all bets are off. I'm gonna
You're
say
like,
it's
nobody's
fucking
safe.
amazing.
All right, I'm gonna dry off your teeth. Give me a big smile. I'm just gonna do the top ones.
Yeah, that's what we'll see mostly.
And actually, can you go like this for me?
Yes.
There we go.
Once certain sets, you see people like without their masks on, and you see like the faces they make when they're working and stuff. I'm gonna extend it out a little bit because you know,
Yeah.
as you get old,
The
this
broken
area,
capillaries,
since
I
it's
see.
it's more prominent as well in this area, and also the sun, your nose sticks out the most.
Mhm.
So this is gonna cause a little bit of the most. So this is normally you could go in, as she said, broken capillaries, and you could detail it like I was detailing with veins, but I like this method better personally. Unless we're trying to make you look super sickly, because just that tiny, well, even then, like that tiny little bit just emphasized a whole lot, a whole lot for no reason, but it's a little detail. A little goes a long way. It's quite literally true when it comes
Started
to
off
makeup and
cute.
effects.
No, I'm not.
Listen, you're still cute. Now we're just having fun at this point, if we're being honest. Like, we could have stopped, but we're in the zone right now. And we bought ourselves a few minutes with singing Lana Del Rey and knocking over the wrinkle stipple and telling our stories. Oh my god, I
Thinking
never
about
told
it
my
in my
story.
Oh yeah. Wait, she never even said what sparked it.
Yeah, what sparked it?
She's like, glue your hair.
Oh yeah.
This is what happens when you get your friends together to do a podcast.
If you don't have glue in your hair at the end of the podcast, then did you do it right?
Hey, I have some on my nails.
There, see,
Okay.
nails and hair.
And so for my final step, what I'm doing, I made her base, but I'm using this orange stipple sponge to apply it a little bit above, so that way it still gives a little bit more of that texture, and it'll emphasize it on top of that wrinkle stipple that we already have.
Yeah.
This is just another part of paint and powder. We don't have to do it, but why not, right? It's also just another way to show a method. And it'll also, because of this type of texture, it will help increase that look of, oh my god, she's old.
Right.
Oh my god, she's.
You know, like when we were kids and we're
Yeah.
like, oh my god, 25?
I
Ain't
know.
it?
I'm like,
Dude, can you imagine?
Facts.
This is going on the internet. Like, the internet is forever. We're gonna come back and talk about this.
Yeah.
And when we're her age,
I'm gonna be like,
faking
why
it.
did we decide to make me old now?
We're
Oh.
gonna reenact it, yeah, and
then you guys make
in
me
40
young.
years. That's what I was just gonna say. Yeah, transforming back
That would be
into
funny.
our prime.
we have to wear the same outfit.
Yeah, yeah.
If I get so fit. Oh my
I
God.
know. Oh my
better
god.
pack that away.
I better.
Pack
Gotta
and
store
save
that
it.
shit.
I'm gonna. One of all the outfits I'm getting rid of. This is not one of them.
Yeah.
There we go. So you can see probably better. Do you see how that texture alone on top of the wrinkle stipple and everything just kind of helps really pack in?
I like that.
This is my favorite when it comes to
I
paint
like
and powder.
that.
My absolute favorite when it comes to paint and powder for
A
that
lot.
reason alone.
I like that a lot.
I'm gonna come up the neck just a tiny bit as well. So at first we were like, she's not even that old, and now we're like, she's not young. Now we are going in with the Holy Grail Ben Nye Silver Gray. This is my little influencer moment. Yeah, Ben Nye Silver Gray. This stuff is really, really great for giving you gray hair. I use this quite often on set, actually. It just really, I like it personally. There's probably other products out there that might work a little bit better, but if you're on a budget, because this tiny little guy is about $6-7.
Microscope.
And like your lips.
And my
Oh,
favorite
sweet.
way, oh yeah?
He's been at least.
My favorite way to apply this is with a spoolie or a mascara wand.
literally said you mixed 2 movies together, and then you never said anything else. We're like,
So rapid fire, what got you into it?
So I enjoyed scary movies, and then my mother and my grandmother both really enjoy art, so I grew up with art and scary movies. And then eventually, I think it was around like 4th or 5th grade, I was using my mom's computer and I started getting into YouTube, and I saw people made beauty tutorials. I kind of liked that, but then I saw that special effects makeup was a thing in film and TV makeup, and I was like, oh, I can make a career out of this. So
I always knew I was going to work in entertainment one way or the other, but I never really knew it was makeup until a very last split second, actually. I've always had an interest, same as her, in scary movies and stuff like that. I personally, grew up watching a whole lot, like stuff, I loved slashers from a very young age. Like, I'm talking 6 years old. I loved slashers.
You're like, so peaceful, this
Yeah,
murder.
no, I was like, this is so nice. But the moment for me that I can vividly recall is something that I didn't realize back then was like hey, like, this might be it. But I remember the moment so vividly, probably for that reason, is I was watching Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah.
Because that was my favorite movie
Okay.
of all time. And it still is, because looking back on it, I just have that, connection to it where I'm like, oh, like, it sparked my interest. There's a scene where a guy gets completely cut in half with Jason's machete.
Okay.
And they show the body lying on the floor afterwards. And at the ripe age of 6 years old, I paused it at that exact moment, because
Like,
I watched that movie every single day. I knew it like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
Well, I really did. I paused it, and I ran up, and my dad comes downstairs, and he catches me like this close to the screen with this decapitated body, and he's like, "What are you doing?"
And that's the day that he called the therapist and scheduled an appointment.
Yes, but
she didn't go, but
I didn't go.
Tried.
That's why I'm still working in this, but I didn't go to therapy for it. But he asked me what I was doing, and I said, I'm trying to see how they did it. And he said, what do you mean? I'm like, how did they get this real guy to be split in half?
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to find the other half of his body. And so that, from like 6, I always had that peak interest. But the way I actually ended up in it is my original major in college was I was getting my BFA in musical theater with a minor in music, because I did music for 13 years.
Nice.
I ended up dropping out intentionally because I just wasn't feeling it. It wasn't for me. And I was already planning on moving out to California. So I was like, I will just pick it back up out here.
Right.
And transfer whatever credits I have over. But I had been posting for fun, just some little scary makeups and stuff that I was practicing in my house. And people had tagged me in cinema makeup school, her school, the video that was going viral around that time. And it was like the 6th time within 2 days I had been tagged in it. And I was on the phone talking about my move. And I was just like, apparently there really is a school in LA. Like, let's see how far
Apparently there's really a school
like, where you can do this stuff.
Yeah.
And because I didn't know that existed.
Right.
But from there, I said, well, let's Google it just for fun, see how far away it is. It was a little too far from where I was living at the time.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay, that's a bummer, but whatever. And then I said, well, just for fun, let's see what other makeup schools they have. And I found Mud, and it was only 10, 15 minutes away.
Wow.
And the minute I found that school, something in me just clicked. And
like,
automatically I was like, I'm done with I'm done with
just
acting,
knew.
I'm done with singing, I'm done with all of that. Like, this just feels right.
You found your passion.
I did, within an instant. Within an instant. And the signs were always there. To be fair, my dad had been telling me for years to look into it and to get into it. But, I'm an angsty teen. I'm like, no, Dad, I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to be a pop star.
I'm the new Hannah Montana.
I love Hannah Montana. I love Hannah Montana.
Yeah, right?
Listen, I would still be a pop star for Hannah Montana.
I know, right? Wait, so Freddy or Jason?
Okay, here's the thing. If you're asking me who won in the movie, Jason totally won. Okay. But it was open.
That's actually surprising to me. I would think that Freddy... I've never seen the movie.
Okay, fair enough.
So, just from...
Spoiler!
No. But just from going off of the title and just from knowing the movie, like, they're separate stories, I actually assumed that Freddy would win because he can come in your nightmares. And you'll
have to see it and just figure it out now. See what I'm talking about.
You'll
see the scene that piqued my interest.
Yeah.
Well, but actually, they did leave it open-ended and they were going to do another one, but they did not.
Oh, okay.
And I'm fine with that. But yeah.
They might still do it.
They might.
Great eyebrows.
Just a little bit, little pieces. But yeah, no, so that was kind of my thing, is it quite literally was just a because of a Google search, my entire life is completely
Your life
different.
changed
In an instant. Like, I can't even explain the feeling when I saw it. Like, not to get fake D, but you know when you know, you know. It's like when you want to
when you know, you know.
Like, it sat in front of me, and I was like, this is my for lifer.
So I used to live in Austria, and around like 9 or 10 p.m., they would play Bollywood movies. And I was in love with every single Bollywood movie that I saw. The singing, the dancing, the wardrobe.
Oh my God, I love
and
that.
then the intense love story. And it's always like the father doesn't approve of like, you know, who the daughter is dating, or like the other way around. And always something like keeping them in between their, like they can't be together for some reason. You're like, I just want them to be together. And they're like coming from different worlds or like different backgrounds where it's like, no, it could never be. But then like love wins.
Then it bees.
But because of Bollywood, I was like, I want to do something with movies. I want to be an actress. And then
it's so crazy how
I tried acting, and I was like, I don't want to be an actress,
but I want
to be a director.
I am really happy that I did it. So sometimes, and I'm not very impulsive, and I don't like change, but even coming from me, that was worth it.
That was worth it.
Because now I'm here and I'm making you old.
Gosh,
look at her.
Am I done? Am I complete?
How do
Curious.
you feel?
Oh my God, Jesus Christ!
Look at your neck.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Let's see what he says.
Should I flip them?
He's gonna think I'm disgusting.
Okay, here we go. I'm recording on my phone
Oh
as
my
well. If you
God.
need this footage. Oh my
Just
God.
not.
My arthritis.
My neck hurts.
Oh, I cracked.
My neck hurts.
Oh my goodness. Look at that turkey neck and those teeth.
Yeah. My back
Yeah,
hurts.
How's your back feel?
I mean, I do feel like I aged. I'll try not to age.
Yeah.
How about that? I'll try
The
not
teeth
to
are the
age.
worst part, the hair and the neck.
As you guys can see, I got a rooster neck. That's not the right turkey neck. I'm just getting all my birds confused.
It's because you don't like them. So
I
you
hate.
don't
Yeah,
know
I'm.
what's
I'm
funny.
well, okay, that's
Scared
aggressive.
of
I'm scared of
birds.
them.
Okay.
Pigeons are flying rats, but that's a
Yeah.
whole nother episode.
Yeah.
But anyway, turkey neck.
We'll get into that later.
Crow's feet. I have all the animals on my face right now. But yeah,
You
guys,
are a zoo.
I'm a zoo, literally. Oh my God, I'm a lizard. But yeah, as you guys can see, the whole transformation is here. We did this about like an hour and 15 minutes, and that we could have done this in an hour, but you know, we
play too much.
we had fun. We added some more stuff, and I think this was the completed look that we wanted, so it turned out great. I'm super excited. Comment and tell us what you think and what you rate and how old you think I look. I think 65 with chain smoking history seems about right, but let me know. Bye!
Bye!
Yay!
The R-Rated Podcast.